What's up, everybody? My name is Chris Enriquez. At Chris Enriquez Drums is my handle. I work at Revolver Magazine, which you can follow at Revolver Mag. And I play drums in the band Spotlights at Spotlights Music, and I play guitar in the band Total Meltdown at Total Meltdown NYHC. Enough of my plugs. I am your host for Age of Quarantine. I want to thank everyone at St. Vitus for letting me do my show on their channel, and to my co-hosts David Castillo and Artie Shepard, the owners of the amazing place that we all call home when we're not in pandemic. But thank you so much for indulging us during the crazy time we're in, and joining us 6 days a week. And we're getting some really good times in with our favorite artists and some up-and-coming artists. Speaking of, tonight, one of my favorite thrash bands today. Really refreshing to hear these guys in 2020 as someone that grew up on thrash music. Creeping Death from Denton, Texas, on my good friend's label E1. Shout out to Bill Meese. Actually helped me get my job at Revolver, and I believe signed these guys. And shout out to Liz at Earsplit, because she also made this interview possible, and we always look forward to her promos. We have Trey Pemberton, hopefully I'm saying his name correctly, from Creeping Death. If any of you guys have any questions and you want to ask anything, there's a question mark box at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to shut the fuck up, and I'm going to get Trey from Creeping Death on the screen so we can talk, if that's cool with you guys. Thanks so much for spending your Monday evening with me. Hope you all have a great weekend. Trey,
Yeah.
what's up, man? How you doing?
Chilling. How are you, man?
Chilling, man. Nice to see you, man.
I see you too.
Hey, I think last time we hung out was at my bar when you guys were DJing.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you remember anything from that night?
Barely. I remember. I remember like being so sick that I like jumped over like these hedges like outside, like completely
Yep.
just like hurdled it, sprinted over to where the van was, and then just like threw up everywhere on the sidewalk. Just
Oh, I
like
didn't know you did that, but I know the hedges, obviously.
yeah,
Um,
I was like I was out of there. Like I was done. They had to throw me in the van and I was toast. Just woke up in a complete different place. I was like, damn. Last night
it
was
might have been
fun.
my fault. I think I gave you guys a couple bottles of that blackened whiskey. So,
Oh, it was sick, dude.
no,
Dude, it was a great time. It was
well,
awesome.
I'm happy we get to see each other again, man. It's a crazy time, and man, that was a good show and a good tour. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But you and I have some connections. I love how small the scene is, because my former roommate and the guy who helped me get my job at Revolver is your publicist, Bill Meese. So shout out to him.
Oh, hell yeah. Shout out to Bill.
Absolutely. And my bass player from Spotlight, Sarah, did merch for High and Fire on the tour with you guys. And I remember hearing from her every day how great it was watching your set. And I saw you guys twice. I saw you at St. Vitus, and I saw you at Elsewhere. And man, that was you guys definitely ripped it, man.
Dude, thank you so much. Also, Sarah, she rules. She hooked it up with some free swag, so I appreciate that forever. Also, a very sweet person, so shout out to her. But yeah, thank you very much, man. We just kind of like to try to go out there and no matter what kind of crowd we're playing to or how many people are there, we're gonna go the same. We're just
Absolutely.
gonna go hard.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, it shows. I think that the great thing about, I hate to kind of categorize and use genres so much, but you guys do play, let's call it a stripped down brand of metal, which I think is really, for me, I'm going to be 40 this year, and I grew up on thrash. So it's refreshing because I feel like there's something about no frills. There's no gimmicks. It's just like fucking all out war. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
that's great.
what you see is what you get. That's just kind of how I am as a person. It's like kind of how I feel like we are as a band too. It just kind of reflects that.
Totally, dude. Well, I always like to mention this to all of my guests, but people give a lot of people shit for telling their life story. This is a time when it's okay. So I encourage you to indulge, and we're gonna talk a little bit. I'm trying to get to know people. I like to go from the beginning. I think it's a great way for us to use the hour and let people know, who the people are behind some of their favorite bands and some of the most exciting
Yeah.
bands out there today. So let's start with this, and then we'll kind of get into your story, dude. But what
Okay.
how you been managing to get through the pandemic, and how's it affected the band schedule and all that?
Personally, I've been pretty lucky. I still have a job. I work in mental health, so I've been still having to go up to the office. We don't have any patients like physically in the office right now, so I'm up there by myself, so it's all good. So that's cool. So, and everyone in my house, everyone in the family is all here. My sister, my grandma, my mom, and my dad. So everyone's here safe and healthy. So I'm pretty privileged in that sense. As far as the band goes, we had a lot we had a lot of cool stuff coming up that was like canceled. We had the Hatebreed tour that I was like
Fuck.
super hyped on. Yeah, as a hardcore kid, that one really hurt to get canceled on. Then we had like 3 weeks left of that Acacia Strain tour. So
What
we
a
got
fucking
robbed.
time. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we got robbed of a lot of stuff, cool stuff, and then like Oblivion Access in June, we were supposed to play that in
I actually
Austin.
was supposed to do some work. We were going to film that.
Yeah,
So I was really upset about that too. But I know that 2021 will see the return of that. And you guys are from Texas, so hopefully
oh yeah,
connect the dots, whatever. Yeah.
yeah. We'll be good to go for it for sure.
Man, what a time though. You got a hardcore kid right here, man. New York hardcore.
Oh,
Already psyched.
shouts out.
Yeah, I love Hatebreed. So I'm sorry to hear that happened. Hopefully that'll come back in 2021. And the Acacia Strain, man, that's a big one. But you guys definitely came in strong with the release coming on E1 and all the big tours. So I have no doubt that the same fortune will come back to you next year. And we look forward to it, man. And
Thank you.
yeah, and thanks for
Yeah.
what you do for the mental health community. That's
Oh, thanks. I tried. Like my mom, she's a psychiatrist too, so we just try to help people best we can.
absolutely, dude. So I mentioned Texas. Are you originally from Denton or?
Yeah, so I actually moved around a lot. I was a Navy brat. My dad, yeah, he was in the Navy for like 25 years or something like that. So I was born in Sacramento, California, but I moved probably 2 weeks after I was born to San Diego. We jetted around a million places around San Diego because of the Navy. Then we moved to San Antonio, back to San Diego, and then
Damn.
then to Florida. We moved to Orlando after that, and then to Southern Maryland, and then finally to North Texas when I was 13, I think. So I didn't go to the same school for longer than 2 years until I was basically in high school. So
God
that's
damn.
kind of
So you
how
were
that went.
traveling before you were touring, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I honestly like a lot of people are like, "Oh, that must have sucked having to, pick up and change relationships and all this and all that." And it's like, yeah, it is whatever, but like I liked it because it kind of took me to different cultures and different places across the country, and I kind of got exposed to a lot of different stuff, and I just feel like it kind of makes me a little bit more like well-rounded as a person.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. There's something to be said about that.
yeah,
Tra-
so that's cool. I'm not tripping about that. You learn people skills and stuff like that, having to constantly introduce yourself and this and that, and so it's not all bad. I'm thankful for it in some ways, but yeah, I'm not a native Texan at all, and people always give me shit big time because all my sports teams are all mixed and matched because I moved around so much. So like I'm a big Ohio State fan because my mom, she went to Ohio State, and my sister's actually going to Ohio State for law school in the fall, if they have class, I guess. But that's a whole other thing. But
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
so yeah, we're big Ohio State fans. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan because again, my mom is a Browns fan, but she hates baseball. So I'm a Yankees fan for baseball. My dad's from New York. And then for basketball, I like the Spurs because we moved here when I was a kid. So it's just like it bounces around. And it's like I constantly have to explain it to people. Like, no, I'm not a bandwagon fan. I've had the same team literally since I could remember. But like, It's just you
Right,
moved a
right.
lot, you know.
That's
It's
got
a
to be
product of your environment.
in the sense of music stuff too, where it's like you have your hometown pride kind of vibe, where it's like you're repping whatever it is, New York hardcore or fucking DC hardcore or whatever.
Mhm.
Were you in Texas for the most of your development?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely, as far as music goes, rep Texas all the way. All my shows, my first shows were all in Texas. I didn't go to any show at all until I was probably like 15 or 16, and that was like Warped Tour. So that was like,
Okay.
you know, so
Yeah, I
like,
want to get into that part of your life, but what are your earliest memories in general of just discovering music and realizing that you were, that it was something meaningful to you beside, beyond just background noise?
uh-huh. So for me, my mom, she always shows like me videos of like when I was a little kid. I was constantly jumping around, singing and banging on shit. They got me a little like Fisher Price drums because my mom was a drummer. So she played in bands in like the Midwest, like kind of like heavy metal, like hair metal kind of stuff.
No shit.
Um, yeah, so she was used to like she loves metal and all that stuff. So she just kind of exposed me to that. But honestly, I didn't really take to like guitar music until I was about 12. And that's when I kind of finally, my mom made me sit down with like Rush. And then that's
Okay.
when I was like, whoa, like, yo, these drums are nuts. And she was like, right, pay attention to this part. And then it was like the, and I was like, oh my God, I want to learn how to do that. And she was like, okay. So then like, she worked hard. She used to be an ER nurse before she not before she became a psychiatrist. So she just worked hard a bunch of shifts and saved up and got me a drum set. It was cool. And
Dude,
then simultaneously, I moved to a new school and I started percussion. Like they let me do percussion. So it was like I was learning new things from percussion and my mom at the same time. And I had a drum set. So that's kind of like how my musical journey got started for sure.
so drums were
But
first before guitar.
Oh, oh yeah. I still tell people I'm a drummer first. Like my drums are still set up over there in the other room. So it's
Yeah.
like I still love playing drums and it's still like I don't play as much as I would like because my parents are working from home right now. So 5 days a week I can't bang on stuff. But
Sure.
I try to get it in as much as I can. But yeah.
That comes in
But
handy with guitar. I mean, and I
oh
just
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I just want to comment that man, Rush. I don't know how many people. I don't think many people on the show have cited their parents as a reason or an influence for how they got into stuff. Maybe a few, not too many, but I'll say Rush is that's a good parent right there. If you want to get someone started, like I start on like kind of like Guns N' Roses, and then I went into Metallica and all that kind of stuff. And I'm a drummer, which is cool. But Rush is a really like that's gonna get you where you
Oh
need to
yeah.
go.
Oh, and trust me, there was plenty of Guns N' Roses and growing up too. She loved some Guns N' Roses. But yeah, in Metallica, she had a copy of Ride the Lightning and she gave me that, and I used to listen to that walking to the bus stop on my little CD player. I remember that growing up too. So that's kind of also Creeping Death. Like
I was gonna say
obviously,
I would
yeah,
hope that was one of your favorite records.
yeah, that was one of the first ones. I'm like a big nostalgia kind of head, so there's always a soft spot for me that like it was like really the first one of the first like metal bands that I really like dove pretty hard into.
Well, we're going to get into Creeping Death and how it got together, but just while we're on this topic, have maybe it's too early on in the career, so to speak, but has anyone in Metallica um, taken
Nope,
notice that that you're in a band called Creeping Death? Has not
no,
happened yet. All right,
no.
yeah. So
I doubt it will. They're doing their own thing. They're
hey, you
out.
never know, man. I didn't think I'd be working at Revolver or going on, or that either of us, I'm sure I could relate on going on crazy tours. But
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I got my degree like 2 years ago, and I was literally getting on LinkedIn and like monsters.com and like, okay, well, we got to figure out a job. And then like E1 sends us that email, and we're like, whoa. So that's like, I was right. I'm right there with you on that one.
yeah, dude, hell yeah. Well, before we get into how that all came together, when did you when and how did you learn how to play guitar?
That was actually, well, now I'm a little bit old. I'm 27 now, so I guess it wasn't that long ago anymore. But I learned when I was about 19, almost 20. So like 7, 8 years ago ish.
You were making me
I
feel really old right now. God damn.
Yeah, yeah, so I was my best friend, he played guitar and I played drums, always the duo or whatever. But I was like jealous because like when we would be done jamming, he could be sitting around with his guitar just like hanging out while we were just like chilling, shooting the shit. And I was like, wow, I wish I could just bang on my drums right now. Like you get better at your instrument, like so I was like, he was like, why don't you get a guitar? And I was like, that's a good idea. So I asked for, I was like, hey, can I get like a cheap guitar as my one Christmas gift this year? And they were like, yeah, sure. So they got me a little Epiphone Les Paul custom 2. It was like a cheap
That's a good
beginner
one to start
guitar.
off on, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. And then just a little Line 6 Spider that I still have and use like all the time. It's like right over there. So yeah, and then ever since then, for then I stopped. I didn't touch it for a year. Classic like high schooler, senior in high school thing. It's like, oh, I got this thing. Oh, this is harder than I thought it was going to be. Oh, I'm not going to use this. But then I had a bunch of free time in college, like just in the dorms. Like you're just bored, there's not shit to do like
Sure.
sometimes. So I was like, maybe I'll pick this up. So I started to kind of play it more. And then after that, I kind of learned how to play or learn how to read guitar tabs, like ultimateguitar.com. And that's when I really started to like pick it up because then I could kind of figure out like tendencies and what frets kind of go after what frets and kind of
You're
understanding.
self-taught.
Oh yeah. I taught myself how to play via an app. So.
Right. I guess, now that I'm kind of realizing the technology that exists in your life at that point, which was
Mhm.
totally different. Like I said, I'm dating myself, but I was born in 1980. So like, we had guitar tabs, but you also like, you had to hope that your parents would take you to the store and buy it for you. So it couldn't like just pick it up.
Yeah.
So now I'm realizing you had things at your fingertips, luckily, to at least have
Mhm.
some resources, which is cool. And
Yeah,
who
and
were
free and completely free. So it's like the barrier to entry on that was like so easy. Like anybody can like jump in and learn a new instrument.
absolutely, man. Now, now, who are some of your guitar influences and inspirations through your development?
Oof. I guess like I didn't really pick up on like wanting to like try to like pick up on other guitar players until like semi recently because I was still trying to grasp like the main intricacies of like just picking fast and like relaxing and stuff like that. Like so for the beginning, like actually our bass player Eric was like a huge influence. He was like anything I had, any question, any help, anything about guitar for the first like I mean still to this day I hit him up. But like for the first 4 or 5 years before even like he joined the band, he was like my guitar like sensei. So like he was definitely a big influence. He's one of the most talented musicians I know. He plays bass in our band, but he shreds
Yes, great
way
guy. Yeah.
shreds way harder at guitar. It's honestly pretty crazy. So he helped me out a lot. And then recently, I've been kind of getting more, trying to learn a lot more theory and things like that. I really like Chuck Schuldiner of Death. That
Oh,
definitely
God,
been a
fucking classic. Yeah.
inspiration as of late. I learned how to do dive bombs from Dimebags, like from YouTube videos.
Texas represent. Yeah.
Yeah, so Dimebag, like anybody from Texas, low key is definitely influence on Dimebag for sure. And then also I like to think Gary Holt too.
Dude, Gary Holt,
There
nasty.
yeah, so it was actually the my friend was like, "Yo, you should check out this video. It's like Gary Holt's lessons in guitar violence, and it's on YouTube." He's like, "Just pull it up on YouTube," and I did, and I like actually learned a lot, and I kind of try to apply it to like my stuff now too. So, but I also try to learn stuff from people that I go on tour with, people that just jam with all the time. Like I try to be as much of a sponge as I possibly can. You know, like everyone around you in music has such a varied wealth of knowledge that you would be kind of dumb not to try to soak up like all of it.
Oh,
Like,
dude,
you know,
you had you have Matt Pike. Are you fucking kidding me?
yeah.
You
Yeah. And
know,
it's like, Matt Pike, it's like going on tour with Jeff Matz and like all those dudes and all of their crew super knowledgeable. I learned so much because I've never been on like a tour where I'm playing stages. It's like I'm used to being a hardcore kid where I'm playing basements and shit
sure.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you can just crank your shit and it's fine. So it's like, just just learning the intricacies of like stuff like that. Just picking up on it. It's really cool. I like that aspect of it a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to talk about the High on Fire guys later on. Once we kind of get through the formation of the band and such. Which what was growing up and how did you discover the underground music scene? What were the bands? What were the venues? Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay, so I took the route that probably a lot of kids around my age took. After getting into the bands I talked about, Metallica, Rush, Slayer, Pantera, so just getting into guitar music, you just lean to other stuff. I got into My Chemical Romance real hard back then. That kind of led me to a little bit of the more sceney kind of stuff, which led me to the more metalcore kind of stuff. So, I was big into Parkway Drive, August Burns Red,
You went
stuff
through the
like that.
blender a little bit.
Yeah, yes. A lot of kids like take that route. I got into deathcore. I was real into deathcore back in the day. That should have let me know that I was going to be really into death metal later because, it was just like the corny parts that I was like, I don't know. It was a precursor to like later stuff, you know what I'm saying? So,
Cool
it
that you
was,
kind of went through that and you were like,
yeah.
this is cool, but you like wanted to go deeper, which is how I could relate to like, I wasn't around for Black Flag or any Minor Threat, but I found my way, and I guess that's kind of
Mhm.
where you're going a little bit.
Exactly, exactly. So, from there, I just simultaneous, and all this is going on kind of concurrently at the same time. This is like ages probably 13 to 17 or 18. And then I start getting into more like progressive metal stuff like that because I'm a nerd and I like rhythm and I'm a drummer. So it
Like
goes to
Sugar
that.
kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, stuff like that. And then like after that, that's when I was kind of like exposed to more. It's gonna sound weird, more like hardcore, and it's really because like a lot of my friends at the time were getting into kind of like it started with for them with pop punk, and then they kind of was led into hardcore. But I kind of hopped in. Like they showed me Title Fight, and I was like, yo, this sick. Like I was like, wow, this is dope. And then you kind of I didn't really get it back then, but they existed in the hardcore sphere. So the more you follow them, you see just who they're playing with, where they're going. YouTube related videos help. That's how I discovered Trapped Under Ice, which is my favorite hardcore band of all time. That's one of
That's
the
Under
bands that,
Ice is amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the bands that got me into hardcore personally. So like Trapped Under Ice, back then, Half Heart, back then, Trash Talk. It was like I was like discovering those bands, and I was like figuring out what like hardcore was, and then obviously you use the internet and like you kind of piece together, and then we kind of just wandered our way into like shows. Like we had been going to like more local metalcore shows for a couple years at that point. So I was like familiar with actually going to shows by that point. So we just started to venture off into going to more shows, and we were like, this is way cooler. It's like we liked the energy and all this stuff way more, and that's kind of what really drew me to it was like the energy and the emotion like of
Yeah.
it. Like that's why I really fucked with it. So that's kind of it. Just led me from there, and then from there I saw how easy it was to like be in a band and like play in a band. They're just like, hey, like if you have a band, like you can hop on a show. And we were like, yo, let's just start a band. So we started my first hardcore band where I played drums and
The best part
uh
of hardcore. It makes you feel like you can do it. The
exactly,
DIY. Yeah.
exactly. It's like, oh shit, like we could easily like play in a band because before it was like, oh, we don't want to do this. We don't want to do this pay to play shit, selling fucking pre-sales and all this bullshit. And it's like,
Right.
okay, well, we can just set up and like fucking play with like our homies. Like, let's just do this. And
Go
ever
play at
since
someone's
then,
house and invite everybody.
yeah, exactly. Like our first show was at like a fucking recording studio in Irving, and there was like a keg there, and like people were underage or getting fucked up. It was honestly pretty crazy, but it was a cool experience. And I was like, yo, like I was like, cool, like I'm in with this shit. So
Right,
ever
right.
since then, I've just been diving into hardcore, and then I was always kind of predisposed to metal, like as like how I came into like guitar music. So I was always kind of into more metallic bands. I was super into Harm's Way, and that's kind of what led me to death metal, because I was like, oh, how are they getting this fucking guitar tone? Like this is nuts. And I was like, I didn't really get what an HM2 was. So it was like I was like, oh, like this tone, like this kind of like reminiscent of bands of this era. Like check this out. And then I look,
You like the research and kind of
yeah,
deep diving and kind of like, why does this sound? I mean, I think that hopefully, I think a lot of people in metal and hardcore probably have that in common, some more than others. But that's the greatest thing about um, aggressive music is there's a story. There's
yeah,
a whole
absolutely.
story and a lineage and all this stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that also coincided with the time where I was learning how to play guitar. So I was also more interested in guitar stuff, guitar tones. And I was like, at the time I had never listened to any other kind of like death metal really. So I was like, I didn't really understand how they were doing it. And then it was the pedal, and I looked up, and today listed Entombed, Grave, Dismember, checked them all out. And I immediately I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is life changing. And ever since then, just YouTube related shit. And I just went all the way down the line. It just kept popping up death metal bands. And I was just listening to albums, and it just went, Obituary popped up, Sepultura popped
Sure,
up,
the
you know,
visuals too, because you're getting like the whole aesthetic and all that
yeah.
stuff, and then I guess that makes sense where you're like, man, this deathcore shit. I mean, I want to talk shit about genres, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I know, I know what you mean. Like, like you like what you like. Like I sometimes I can, put on that stuff for nostalgia's sake, and I can be like, yeah, I still fuck with this. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
I'm not too cool for that shit. But it did. I will say I prefer death metal to it, and it led me in what in my opinion is to better music. So I think that's really cool about it too.
Yeah,
So
yeah, totally, man. Look, I mean, for some people, it's so funny, and it's cool hearing that because, I feel like that was I don't know how many people like put the band thank yous in their liner notes as much as they used to, but that was my YouTube, which was like, who are they thanking? Who are they friends with? And so it's
hmm
cool to know that that still exists in a different way. That's the beauty of social media and the internet and all that. Well, we've been talking a lot about sort of like your coming up, but let's get into it now that we're kind of halfway in there. When and how did Creeping Death start?
So this was all around roughly the same time. I would say I probably started to dive into death metal like 2013. So immediately I'm like starting to get a little bit more proficient in guitar, where I can at least start to try to write music. So once I started to look up like tabs and stuff of that kind of music, I was like, okay, this is kind of how this goes. So I just kind of tried my hand at it. My friend Jason, he had like a little bedroom recording kind of deal. So we recorded some like demos, and originally it was going to be called, oh god, I can't remember what the original name was, but that never came to fruition. And then we got together like a group of friends from hardcore, and we were like, oh, let's start this band. And I was like, oh, I already have all these riffs, so I showed it to them. They were like, oh, this is badass, let's use this. But again, like classic hardcore, it's like sometimes shit just doesn't come together, and it just didn't come together. And that's actually where the name Creeping Death originally came from. One of the kids in that group picked the name because he was honestly a bigger Metallica fan than I was, and he wanted to be in like we wanted it to be more of like a metal band. So like that's kind of why we did that back then. And so fast forward maybe, I don't know, a year, and same thing is like I write actually new riffs at this point, because at this point I'm actually better at guitar. It's been probably like 2 years at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm a lot better, and that's when we like kind of get together with the original drummer and write the demo. And I still use riffs from like the original demos from the stuff that didn't come to fruition, but it was
That was in
mostly
2015, right?
yeah, this was in 2015 where I wrote like the demo of Creeping Death, and then like after that, we kind of filled out the lineup and just been jamming ever since. We're I guess from Denton. We formed in Denton because like I was in college at the time. At the time, like everyone was in school or living around there or something like that. But now we all like I live in Fort Worth now. Eric lives in Fort Worth. He's about 10 minutes from me, and then Lincoln and Reese live in Dallas. So we're just kind of all
Right.
around the metroplex
I
now.
knew somebody lived in Dallas. Your
Yeah,
singer.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
Now, what's the creative process usually like for you guys? Because you mentioned that are you the primary songwriter?
Kind yeah, yes and no. So like we'll like I'll bring a riff to the table, but it never really like stays that way. So like I like to take everyone's input and stuff like that. AJ puts in riffs too. I would say like as far as like structuring and moving stuff around, I think I kind of have like a little bit more control and stuff like that. I definitely write the lion's share of the riffs, but it's like definitely a team process because what I bring to the table never ends up, well, most of the time it doesn't end up how it like is on the record or
Sure,
will
that's
be
what
on the
happens when you get
record.
people in a room. Yeah.
Exactly, and I think teamwork makes the dream work, and especially in our case, like everyone gets along so well, and the process isn't like convoluted, and no one takes anything like personally when you don't like somebody's idea or something like that. So it's like
Right.
we work really well together. It's a quick process. I know a lot of people ideas bouncing around. They don't really mesh sometimes, but we really gel. Like writing music is really sick. Like even through this quarantine, we've written two songs,
Right.
and we have riffs for at least another half another song, maybe three. So
Oh, that's
uh,
great. Yeah.
yeah, so we're writing new jams. I love writing music with all of them. It's sick and it's really fun. So yeah, the creative process for us is awesome. It's they all have very diverse tastes. Like we're all very diverse people. So we're bringing influences from a lot of different things, and I'm getting ideas, and we're all getting ideas and bouncing ideas off each other that we wouldn't have normally thought about because we're coming from approaching music from a completely different place. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so you guys are one of those bands just from. Well, I saw you twice, hung out with you guys once. It seemed like the kind of band that gets along really well with each other. That's always a good thing for the creative process.
Oh
How was
yeah.
how was what was the grind like in terms of like you get the demo together, how are you starting to like how and when are you starting to generate some buzz? How's that all working out as you lead into Spectre of War, which ended up coming out in 2018? What was like the evolution there from that time?
Honestly, I feel like, well, one, I think the demo was really well received, and that kind of caught me off guard. I didn't really expect, I don't know. There wasn't like, I knew like obviously Texas likes metal and shit, but I don't know. I
Think
didn't
so?
expect, yeah, I didn't expect really people to around the state to kind of like it. And then Sacrament of Death, people kind of like took notice more, and we started to play around Texas more, and just how it goes. You play around town more, you play in higher in lineups and shows, get better and stuff, and it was kind of cool. And then like I don't think we do our first tour until 2017, and
Okay.
that was like Midwest only, pretty much.
Kind of
So
like generating a local buzz, which makes sense. I mean, whether that's
yeah,
on purpose or not, you're just kind of like getting comfortable in your own home, basically.
yeah, and I mean, like at the time, like I was still in college, so like we couldn't tour. Like some of us had full time jobs at the time. Some of us were still in college. Like there was a lot going on where we could really only do things on like weekends or like school breaks or summer break or something like that. So that really only lends you to doing like Texas tours at first, which is sick. Like Texas has like five of the top like 25 biggest cities in the entire
Oh my
United
God,
States
you
all
could totally
so
tour
yeah
Texas. Yeah. Talking about
exactly. So
Austin, Dallas, El Paso, Houston. Jesus, it's everywhere.
yeah, exactly. You go down to the valley too. It's like, it's pretty sick. So you don't have to worry about it for a while. And then like people start, out hitting us out to play outside the town more. And it's like, all right, let's try to do something. So we were just trying to do things here and there in between like the time that we had. It wasn't ever like at first it wasn't like, oh, like we want this band to be like a serious thing. It was just like, oh, like we want to do the best we can possibly do. And it's like we get cool opportunities, like let's do it. But like we're not we weren't we it was just like kind of like a hobby still at the time.
Sure.
Which I mean, I guess that sounds dumb, like saying going on a 6 or 7 day Midwest run, like as a hobby. But that's kind of how it felt. It was just, it wasn't like it was like school was my main thing still at the time.
Right.
So
Well,
it
that's
wasn't until
like also the thing with the heavy music scene. It's got a built-in community, which is one of the greatest parts of, it's not
yeah.
like you're playing pop music and you're like, fuck, like how do I get a scout? There's a built-in community from the get-go, which is the hard work that you have to put in to take it from A to Z. But it's always nice to have that scene. That's
Oh
waiting.
yeah, absolutely. Just from Jump Street, like the people that we knew from our like just previous bands. I used to be in another hardcore band called Kept in Line, and just from touring in that band, sometimes just met people here and there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, dude, like, well, we can help you out here, or I can point you to this here," and just that's kind of cool. Like all of our first shows were like hardcore shows because we're all hardcore kids, so like
Damn,
everything we did. Yeah, so like everything we did for the first probably until 2018 was all just hardcore shit. So like there's that tight knit community, like you said, that so it's pretty easy to like jump in and do a little tour here and there, and then you just kind of generate buzz through that. And then we make friends and stuff. Like our first tour, like kind of outside of like the Midwest, kind of. Actually, I don't even, dude, so many tours. I can't remember the order of them all. I think our next tour was actually a West Coast tour with this band called Momentum. And they knew us through, oh man, I can't remember the connection, but there was some sort of mutual connection where they were like, oh yeah, this band's cool. Like, let's do some dates on the West Coast. And that was the first time we went to the West Coast. And then that was that winter, and I was still in school. And then when I graduated was the tour in June we did with Breaking Wheel, and that kind of took us to the East Coast for the first time, and we had never been over there. And then that's the tour that we actually got the email where we got signed. So,
Right. So how did that happen exactly?
so I think Eric is better at telling the story because I smoke too much weed and I forget. But I'm pretty sure, like, so in Jacksonville, they were obviously booking the tour. It's like, hey, these bands, like, check out these bands. They're coming through. They're blah blah blah. And I guess our friend who became our friend later, Mike, he runs this venue called Nighthawks out there. I guess he passed it up to someone, and somehow it got to Bill, and Bill loved it, and I guess was the one who was like, "Yo, we need to sign this band." And then they
Shout
like
out to
reached,
Bill, man. Hell
yeah,
yeah.
definitely shout out to Bill. And then they reached out to us, and like we at first we thought it was like first we thought they were looking for a different band because we were like, oh, Creeping Death, they're probably looking for some like Metallica cover band or something. Like they're looking for some other band. Like we're gonna have to tell them, it's like, hey, we're just some fucking hardcore band from Texas.
Right.
But no, like they were talking about us, and then we started to do more research about E1, and we're like, oh shit, like this is not a scam. Like
You're like,
this is
oh
a
shit, they own Death Row Records.
yeah, like we were looking through, like at first we couldn't figure out because the first email, not gonna lie, was kind of vague. They just said they wanted to work with us, so we were like, what does that even entail? Because they have a whole lot of shit. Like once you go on their website,
Well, yeah,
and we
because
were
they do reality shows.
yeah, and we were like, yo, okay, this is weird, but okay, let's run with it. And then they just give us more information, and like we do the research, and we were like, yo, this is crazy. Like this is kind of like not like, yeah, like kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like you don't, like hardcore bands and metal bands don't just get picked up by a label who is, eventually owned by Hasbro, and a label that's fucking he's got the
Hey,
Death
you
Row
guys are in
Records
really good
catalog.
hands.
Exactly. They hook it up, and they're so awesome. Like, we thought, we're like, oh shit, we're getting into like the corporate side of music. Like, we were like really worried about shit, but like they give us like so much creative control. It's like insane. Like, we just kind of do our own thing, and they're like, yeah, okay, cool. And
Right.
like they really try to foster our ideas, and like
Bill's a
they
hardcore kid too. I'm sure you know that. So
yeah. So like they get it. They really treat their artists like really, really well, and I think it's really sick.
yeah, those for anyone that's not following. E1 is the record label Creeping Death is on, and they also they basically have High on Fire, Black Label Society, Ace Frehley, to name a few, Crowbar, but they get overshadowed often because of the bigger things they do outside of metal, which is love and hip hop and all
Yeah,
sorts of other.
Trailer Park Boys,
Yeah, there you
Curb
go.
Your Enthusiasm, Peppa Pig.
Peppa Pig, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's interesting, but really, really, really diverse roster, and you guys, I know they're really excited about. So let's bring us up to speed. To you guys get signed to E1,
hmm
and then you start working on your full length, Wretched Illusions. Let's talk about that.
yeah. So basically, they were like, yeah. So we want an LP. Like, they were like, okay, we'll release your thing on vinyl like later, and then but we like want an LP in X amount of time. So we were like, all right, like we could do that. So we basically got, since I was done with school, all I had was work. So we basically got jam space we all paid for, and we pretty much got together once or twice a week for probably 12 weeks, probably from July to November ish. And then we kind of wrote all the rhythm tracks for the album. And then throughout, you just kind of add layer on top of layer as you write more songs too. So the earlier songs were getting more complex by the time we had finished like all of the songs. And then we did pre-pro in like November. And then obviously you tinker with stuff. And then we start recording drums in like January, because the person we recorded with he's actually a bandmate of mine in another band I play in called End Times. Um, he's a wizard at recording, but he also works full time. So we had certain days we could only record on. So navigating that, and then there's also like tours that we did that winter. So we started drums in January, finished drums, and then we went on tour for probably about 3 weeks with Homewrecker. We played LDB Fest. It was really sick. Like, great time, great tour. It was really excellent. Um, and then we get back, and then we finish like guitars and solos and stuff like throughout March, like working with his schedule. And then Reese doesn't get to finish vocals until like April. So like this whole process kind of like dragged on as far as recording went. But once we got everything recorded, and like he not mixed it, he like got everything together, and then we sent it to Arthur Risk to mix.
Right,
And
great. Good. Shout out to Arthur, man. Fucking
yeah, killed it.
ridiculous producer.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, so he we sent it to him. He works really fast too. So shout out to him. He got it to us back in sometime in May, and then we sent it off, and they were like, "Yo, this is sick." And then like that, then the process is like, as this, so we're like all rookies at this shit. So then it's like the process of like having to do like a music video and do all this stuff that we've never done before, and then also in the process of doing tours throughout this entire time. We do a tour with Judiciary in March, and we end up playing South
That's
by
a good band.
Southwest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Judiciary. They're the homies, big time. Another excellent Texas band. But yeah, we end up playing South by Southwest, Thrasher Deathmatch in March. Then we have like a couple weeks off where we finish the recording, and then we pick up on another month-long tour in June. When in the middle of that tour, we have to film a music video. So it's like we pretty much like until the pandemic happened, we're like consistently like going out like as often as we like possibly
Grinding,
could.
man. Yeah, absolutely. And that's good because you don't want to, you got such a solid album out there with a great label. I guess you're getting, you want to
Hmm.
do your best,
And that's the thing is like when we got signed, we were like, yo, this is actually like a pretty big deal. Oh, I love you too, Daniel. This is actually a pretty big deal. So we were like, yo, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this with all of our ability and we're gonna go fucking hard and we're gonna do this for real. We're not gonna half ass this. So like we were like so that's what we're doing. Like we're just gonna go as hard as we can and when all this shit blows over, we're just gonna pick up right where we left off and just keep going.
absolutely, man. Let's. We were talking earlier about High on Fire. One of the best tours, man. I got so fucking excited when I saw the announcements, and I congratulated Bill too. But just the lineup is just fucking so amazing. I saw the show 2 days in a row, and those were the best metal shows I saw in 29. Was it
Oh,
2019? Yeah.
yeah,
I don't
2019.
even know what fucking year it is anymore. But yeah, fuck, man. High on Fire, Power Trip, Devil Master, Creeping Death. I'm missing another one.
No, that was it.
No, that was it. All right. More bands that would be a festival. I was gonna say, like, I just remember being like, that's a lot of bands, but it was
It
one
was
after the other. It was perfect.
yeah, it was good. Like they actually like got used to having a 30-minute set time, so we actually had to add an extra song. We were like, fuck. But yeah, no, the lineup was like really sick. It was diverse.
Super
Uh
diverse. Devil Master is really interesting. It took me a sec, and then when I figured out what they were going for, and I know a lot of people that really like that band.
mhm.
Um,
I
I
think they're
think
sick.
they're great. Yeah, it's a good throwback, in but like in a way that's pretty much in their own way. It's not like it sounds like the Misfits. It doesn't sound like the Misfits.
Yeah.
They have that look, but it's got
Yeah,
their own thing.
it's like it reminds me of just like straight up like old school Japanese hardcore, and I think that's pretty cool. Like that's not a whole like lane that I really dive a whole lot into, but like I really do like their vibe and their style and like
Yeah.
their music and stuff. So it was sick, and then obviously Power Trip, like those dudes have been homies
I mean,
with
are you
us.
fucking kidding me, dude? Come on.
Yeah, like we've known them for like years just throughout the Texas hardcore scene. So like being on tour with them finally was sick because it was like I had classes with Blake in college. Like we were homies, so like it was and then Nick and Blake and I were in a fantasy football league together. So it's like we had this rapport. Riley has been Reese's neighbor or lived close to Reese in Dallas many times in multiple locations. So
Yeah, yeah.
we've all known each other for a while. So it was like we were already pretty much going into being like comfortable with a lot, you know. And that's the thing about the tour was like, oh, we wanted to make sure that we wanted to be like professional, prompt, on time, and I think we did a really good job of that. But I don't think it really would have mattered as much because like everyone was so nice and so chill and so understanding. Like
That's
it
what
was
I heard. I heard it was a smooth operation and
oh so sick,
good
so sick.
attitudes. Everybody was chill. Riley's a good homie of mine, and I love that guy. And when I met Power Trip, man, it's cool about like the metal scene is the lack of pretension, which you mentioned coming out of different genres and stuff. Just straight up good dudes. They just like metal. They wear their fucking influences literally on their sleeves. They're not trying to front. They're just like, whatever. We like Slayer. What's up?
Oh
You
yeah, yeah,
know what I mean? It's great.
exactly. I,
Um, yeah. No, no, please. Well, I was going to ask you. So, you mentioned a little bit what the tour was like, but maybe elaborate a little bit on what it was like just witnessing the great Matt Pike shredding every night, and the homies and Power Trip. Like, must have been a cool like going to like metal camp, like summer camp.
Yeah, it was really dope. And honestly, like I did not expect to actually interact with Matt as much as I did. Uh like dude is super fucking chill and like super like you think he's like, oh shit, this is like Matt Pike, like Grammy award winning like fucking rock and roll like
Right.
metal fucking god dude. But like
Sleep. Yeah.
yeah, it's like so disarming. Just like so chill, just walk up to you and fucking start shooting the shit, and he's like one of the funniest dudes ever. Like
He is. Yeah.
it's pretty sick, and like I learned a lot from them and their whole crew, and like their guitar tech Greg is one of like their one of my favorite dudes ever. Like He's so sick. He lives in Austin actually. So when all this is over, I can't wait to visit him and chill with him too. So
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Man, I was just as excited to see that show the second night because I saw the show already, and I was like, and that doesn't happen. And I'm just also speaking on behalf of somebody that has to go to shows all the time for my job, where I'm just like, oh fuck, I don't want to do this right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was so good, and I brought people with me. I was like, you got to fucking see this. This is like this is a metal show that you don't want to miss. You know, and I got a really quick, funny Matt Pike story. I got a tattoo in his house, and I'm sober now. But I didn't know we were in Portland where he lives. Spotlights was on tour with the Melvins. Just wanted to tell this quick story to you because it's a funny one. And we got tour tats, and somebody was like, "We're gonna go get him at this house." So I go to this house, and I walk in, and there's High on Fire and Sleep posters and Motorhead posters everywhere. And I just go, man, whoever lives here really likes High on Fire and Sleep. And the tattoo artist goes, it's like 1 a.m. and we're getting we're wasted. And the dude's like, what are you talking about, man? You're in Matt Pike's house right now. And I was like, we are. He's like, yeah, he's on his way home, and he showed up. It's like, what the fuck? And like you said, he's the nicest guy, but it was just I'll never forget that. You know, every time I talk about High on Fire, getting tattooed in the guy's house and not knowing I was even in his house. That's how drunk I was. But maybe almost as drunk as you guys were at my bar in Brooklyn, man.
Damn, I don't know. That was pretty. Whew, that's all I gotta
Next
say about
level
that.
shit. Hey,
Yeah,
you gotta do it up in Brooklyn, man. You know.
true.
Make
And
it
I'm
happen.
not a big drinker either, so that was like really like fuck.
two sold out shows in a row. You might as well celebrate. You know.
Right? You know, go big.
Absolutely. We're on the 9-minute stretch, man, and the Instagram stuff to kick you off. So I want to go to a couple of the standard questions I always ask everybody, but let's start with this. And I'm sure you're biased because of the band because of your band name, but Big Four. How do you rank them, top to bottom?
Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, Anthrax.
I guess that's the easy one for a lot of people.
Yeah, Anthrax, Megadeth. Like you can switch. I'm not really a huge Megadeth guy. I actually like a lot of Anthrax tracks. Like Megadeth has riffs for sure, but like there's like the whole thing is just like I don't know. I'm not super into the vocals either. So because people,
it's an acquired thing for everybody.
yeah, for sure. And I know that's funny coming from a Metallica fan because like James Hetfield can be like, yeah, and it's like I know that can be obnoxious too, but like I don't know, man. There's just something about it. But I do respect the guitar playing, so that's pretty chill. But yeah, that's my ranking personally.
Okay, I respect that. It's a tough one for me. I have the same list as you. And it's hard with Anthrax because Anthrax is our New York band. Those are our guys. But it's just so hard to fucking to put one up against the other sometimes. But that list makes sense to most people because that was the order of the show from top, from biggest to smallest, I guess you could say. But so okay, let's go with this. Let's say you're stuck in the pandemic longer than you want. Obviously, want to get out of it, sooner than later. But you get 5 records you get to keep. Only 5 records. What are those 5 records and why?
Prince, Purple Rain.
Fuck yeah.
Because I fucking love Prince. That's one of the things my mom introduced me at a very young age, and I took to very early. Like so, I love that album. I would probably do Title Fight, Floral Green. I've already got these off the top of my head, if you've noticed, because there was another interview thing I did where I had to answer a couple of these questions. So it's like,
the Pit?
Huh?
Were you on the Pit?
No, this is for a different one, I think. I don't think this one's come out yet. So
okay.
But yeah, so like
Prince,
Title Fight.
You got Title Fight. Yeah, Prince and Title Fight.
Prince and Title Fight. For the metal fix, I'm probably gonna throw Metallica Ride the Lightning on there. And then I gotta throw at least a hip hop album on there, but I'm not sure. That's so tough for me.
You guys
'Cause,
are
like,
big on the hip hop, which I should mention because I don't know if you remember this, but when I first met you guys at St. Vitus,
mhm.
I asked you if you would DJ at my bar the first time we met. And you got, I don't remember if it was you or your singer or who, but somebody was, I think it was your singer, was like, do we have to play metal? Only metal. I said, no, you can play whatever you want. That's the whole point. It's like, it's cool for people to come see what you're all about. And then I think he said, all right, good, because we want to play a lot of hip hop. Like, dude,
Yeah.
you want to fucking play hip hop? And you guys played a lot of hip hop.
Yeah, we did. Like that's turn up music. That's fun. That's party music. So I gotta have something like that. Like I can't think of I shit. Let's just throw in generic hip hop album number one, and then my last album would be. Damn, dude, that's tough. I don't know, man. Uh,
You got two. You got two.
man, this is hard. Well, no, I got three. I got
You got
Metallica.
three. Oh, yeah, yeah. But we're going for five. And then you said,
Yeah,
oh, you're
then,
saying hip hop.
but yeah, and then I don't know. I guess like for my dad. My dad's a big East Coast hip hop guy, so I'll throw Biggie on there. That album is fire. I've been listening.
I'm in
I've
Bed
listened.
Stuy as we speak. So
Oh hell yeah! My dad's from Brooklyn.
nice, nice. Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, I gotta
I'm
ask him where he
surrounded
grew
by
up.
Biggie murals everywhere in
Uh,
the neighborhood. So
yeah,
yeah.
so I'll throw in Biggie, especially since that's a big childhood one for me. Like bumping that all the time as a kid. And the last one, man, dude. I don't know, probably Slayer. I love
All
Slayer.
right, all right, all right. Which
So,
Slayer record are we going with?
Rain and Blood.
Rain and Blood. Yeah, that's always the one. Well, dude, it's been a pleasure, dude. I really hope that I hope we can all get back to it at some point. And you know, I know you guys will definitely have more cool opportunities to come because they don't just go away because of a
Hmm.
pandemic. You know what I mean? And hopefully we could share a stage at some point. I know Sarah would love that. So um,
Absolutely.
yeah, man. Any final shout outs or comments or anything you want to announce that the fans should know about or anything personal? It's your floor.
I mean, if you want to support the band, you can visit our Big Cartel, creepingdeath.bigcartel.com. We still have a few things left over merch there, I think. Actually, not think. There's quite a lot, especially in smaller sizes. So if you have, if you wear a smaller size, we got plenty of stuff and pretty much everything. So check it out. Shout out Texas Hardcore. Shout out DFW Hardcore. Um, that's pretty much it. Everyone stay safe. Like take care of each other, be nice to each other. It's tense time. Like people are super on edge. Like people are always like that in general, but
You just
just
listen to Creeping Death if they need to knock the
yeah,
edge.
exactly. Like just listen to metal and like just decompress and then go out if you gotta do stuff.
Isn't it amazing how I always thought this was funny? There's a stereotype that like metal people are nuts. There's never any fights at metal shows at St. Vitus. So talk about that. Like I'm like everyone's either stoned or chill or talking about records. It's not like the fucking movies that you saw in the '80s or whatever. And then like, it's really more the dance clubs where you see fucking like bros fucking going for it and shit. You
Yeah,
know?
it's like, oh, you stepped on my fucking J's, bro. It's like, fucking chill out, you fucking
Yeah,
juiced
man.
out meathead.
Right, right. Listen to metal. Listen to Creeping Death. I
Hell
see you're a
yeah.
big fan today. I guess we did our job. Someone said they listened to you guys for the first time today.
Hell
At
yeah.
St. Vitus. And anybody that tuned in too late, this will be on YouTube within the next few days. So
Nice.
I just, yeah, man. Yo, stay safe. Send my best to your bandmates, and
Thank you. Thank you.
let's try to get up in New York again soon, and have some good times, bro.
Absolutely. Cannot wait, man.
All right, take it easy, man. Keep doing the good
Peace.
deeds. Peace
Take
out.
it easy.
Later, brother. All right, thanks for joining us. That was an amazing episode of Age of Quarantine with my homie from Creeping Death. And I just want to thank again everybody for spending your time with us. We got a packed schedule this week. We have Candy on the show tomorrow for you hardcore heads. And then on Thursday, I'm going to be talking to Child's Bite to get your noise rock fix, one of the greats. And also on Friday, Lingua Ignata. That's going to be fucking great. So tune in, and we have some amazing stuff in store for the weeks ahead. So my name is Chris Enriquez. Follow me at Chris Enriquez Drums and at Revolver Mag, and stay safe out there, everybody. Take it easy.